Right. Well, maybe remind me to hit that when we're through. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Thank goodness for a co-host. So who am I? One of the biggies. The maybe the big question, the only one Ramana needed. And uh, I also, when I got this question, I was really in a hurry to answer it, and that didn't work out. The mind is in a hurry to answer it, so you can forget about it. Well, I didn't. It did. I couldn't answer it. I mean, I could write down. I could write pages about it, but that it wasn't the point. It wasn't quite getting at it. And then I stumbled on this book, uh, Rilke, Letters to a Young Poet, and in it he has some great advice. And when I read it, I understood how to work with this question. Here's the advice that Rilke gave to another young poet. He said, "Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and learn to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for answers, which could not be given to you now because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then someday, far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer." Yeah, don't search for answers. That's key. Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart. These are hard questions. When you get questions like "Who am I?" That's a hard question. Cannot be answered by the rational mind. Although the ego is uh, arguing with you right now, saying, "Well, sure. Well, this is bullshit. Who am I? I am. Here I am. Here I am." No, it's interesting. So and then he says, "Don't search for answers which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything." Well, that's so true. And I've been conscious of this question and unconscious of this question for months and years, and then it comes back up again. And I even sat for 5 days with this question in Cincinnati. I just said, "I'm just sitting with this question." It takes a lot of patience with this question, so don't be in a hurry. But this week, walking my usual 2 kilometer walk, and I changed my rhythm in the summer. I get up and do my spiritual reading, have a cup of coffee. And then normally, in the 3 seasons of the year, I come in and sit, and then I go out and walk. But in the summer, I walk first because it's too hot. And so did my normal reading, went out for my walk, walked down the driveway through this tunnel of green, and then I hang a right when I get to Barnes Road, the road out there, and then walk out into a big open field. And the neighborhood has been going a little crazy lately. Like this guy had a girlfriend in this log cabin down the road, and things went wild, and they ended up shooting through a door and shooting her in the leg. And oh, it's a total mess. Don't want to get into it. Unfortunate, but normally these fields are planted that I walk by in the big field. Some of you have walked that road. Field to the right, it's planted. It'd all be in corn by now. Well, nothing's been planted, and it's a fallow field. And so I was walking through it, and it's exactly as Rilke predicted. Someday, perhaps, without even knowing it, you will live your way into the answer. I certainly wasn't ready for the answer to this question 30 years ago. And who knows when you're ready for it, if you just sort of keep it in your heart. And this was totally unexpected to me. And I always bring a little notebook. And so I was just jotting stuff that was catching my attention when I came back. And then I sat in the sitting, the images coalesced, I wrote it out. And well, here's the poem. It'll be out on the Monday morning thing, but it's just called. I didn't have a title. I just came out in the free writing that I do after I sit, and then from the free writing, I just tried to leave out everything that wasn't true. And then I came up with this. The title came last. Who am I? I didn't know what I was writing. That's most of my poems. You think you're going to church and you end up at the dog races when you write the way I write anyway. You never know. And I didn't have a title. Sometimes I do have the title and no poem, but I didn't. I was just writing about it. And then it sort of, the poem took over. Anyway, here's the poem. The fallow field, soaked in dew, became a field of diamonds as the sun rose over the knobs. Clumps of white asters edging out wild carrot, going to seed. Barn swallows playing tag in a colony of purple thistle. While nearby, Buffalo Creek, only a trickle now, yet persistent and in no hurry to become the Beach Fork, the Salt, the Ohio, and the Mississippi, emptying into the Gulf of Mexico and rising into clouds, forming hurricanes or the gentle rains of fierce or friendly grace. Who am I? Who are you? Well, one thing's for sure. We aren't what we think we are. I am. May you be the answer to the question that has no answer. The formless field and stream of benefaction. The fallow field, soaked in dew, becomes a field of diamonds as the sun rises over the knobs. Clumps of white aster, edging out wild carrot, going to seed. Barn swallows playing tag in a colony of purple thistle. While nearby, Buffalo Creek, only a trickle now, yet persistent and in no hurry to become the Beach Fork, the Salt, the Ohio, and the Mississippi, emptying into the Gulf of Mexico and rising into clouds, forming hurricanes or the gentle rains of fierce or friendly grace. Who am I? Who are you? Well, one thing's for sure, we aren't what we think we are. I am. May you be the answer to the question that has no answer. The formless field and stream of benefaction. Yeah, well, that was a gift for me, and I just send it on to you. There's really not. This is sort of is not a. I don't ever like to explain a poem. Sometimes the only thing you can do is read a poem. When you start to try to explain, I never really want to explain a poem. I do like to focus on a few places to maybe like open it up to people. So maybe just a few images that have to do with the contemplative life and what we're all, really drawn to, whether we know it or not. Maybe we couldn't put it in these words, but we're drawn to live a life of from the heart, of dwelling in the heart and living from the heart. And so there's a few images here that speak to that. And this is a contemplative question: who am I? Again, I didn't have the question until about 2/3 of the way when it appeared on the page. There's some connection between these parts, but the fallow field is one image there. Because in a minute, when we stop the recording and go into the our own dropping in meditation into the heart, we are really a fallow field there. A fallow field is not producing anything, you see. It hasn't been, it's not, producing, so many bushels of corn or soybean. Normally it grows. But so to be a contemplative, you have to actually uh, become a fallow field. And a fallow field is wild. So this is a wild ride if you decide to actually do this practice, the sitting contemplation of dropping from the mind into the heart, through the body into the heart. You're going into wild territory. This is territory that cannot be predicted. It's quantum territory, definitely. It can't be predicted, and you never know what's going to happen. And tomorrow I'll walk the same road, and the field will be different. Today I walked the road today with somebody who was making a retreat here. We walked it the day before, and the purple thistles are starting to break, and it looks like white cotton's coming out of them. That wasn't there yesterday. It won't be there tomorrow. Same way with every meditation. See, if you're looking to get something out of your meditation, go plant a field of soybean. This is not the point. It's not the point. It's to touch that. When Merton talked last week about Le Point Vierge, the virgin point, the part that has never been touched, that's another image of this part of you, this fallow field that is wild and open and not a noun. That's one thing that I grabbed from the whole, and I had to write it in that form. When you see the form, there's no break in it. I normally don't like poems like that, but this poem, there couldn't be any break in it because one, the field, the stream, you say a fallow field, that's a noun. Boy, it was buzzing with activity, and so are we. Not just all the pinball thinking of the mind, but when you get down there, you're in an area that's you don't know. Left brain has no idea what's going on down there, which is why it's the place to plant this seed of a question, like, who am I really? I mean, beyond all the descriptions. You could describe yourself. When I've given retreats in the past, I said, can you give us a little blurb telling us who you are? Well, from now on, I probably won't give any retreats anywhere else, but if I did, I'd send the poem. I'd send this poem and let people probably decide not to come to the retreat. I don't know. But I mean, you could describe it. I'm an old white guy, living in Kentucky. You could do these kinds of things, but that's not really who you are. These are descriptions. We're going to work with this in the coming weeks of how all these descriptions you have in your mind of who you are, none of them are true. That's the parentheses in this is, who am I? Who are you? Well, one thing for sure, we aren't what we think we are. And that's why if you live your whole life in your mind, you're in a way pretending, or you're doing dress rehearsals or whatever, but you're not really living. And so that's the whole idea of dropping into something deeper, the heart. And at the end, it really is a kind of prayer, a kind of blessing. I am. May you be the answer to the question that has no answer. This formless field and stream of benefaction. You'll get the answer to it. And when you do, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And you won't get it up here. You will get it from your visits down here. And then in the field for Merton, it was on the street corner in the middle of the shopping area. Last place that he left New York because he thought you couldn't find God. You couldn't find ultimate reality or the true self in the city. So he went behind the walls in Kentucky here. And then, surprise, he found it on the street corner. I found it in just the field out there in the stream. You can find it anywhere when you're ready to find it. So this is sort of preparing it, the work we're doing here. And so bon voyage here. So if you could get yourself in meditation mode now, we'll switch off, and then check the poem out tomorrow in the written form. It's the kind of poem that is a difficult poem. in a way to understand unless you were looking through my eyes doing it, but maybe you'll get something else out of it.